Hello, guys. What's going on? Welcome to Cowboys Beat Live for September 16th, 2025. I almost said 2015. That was a long time ago. That was like when I graduated high school. So that would be crazy if I said that, but I didn't say it. So congratulations to me. I didn't mess up on the first 10 seconds. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about Cooper Beebe, obviously missing 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to be talking about Jadeveon Clowney and how he wanted to join the Cowboys. And we're going to be talking about Deron Bland and if he'll be back for week 3 or week 4. Before we get into the episode, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And please make sure while you're at it to go check out what I'm doing with Kretschmann Media. Kretschmann Media is obviously my, obviously you guys might not know this, but I have a media company. It's called Kretschmann Media. I do shows on there. I produce other shows on there. And we're doing some really good work over there. So if you guys want to see more of me and just more of, some of the things that I'm producing, make sure to go check out the CEO Sports Show on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate that. And check out the other shows while you're at it. I would greatly appreciate that. They're all on the homepage. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So Cooper Beebe is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. That's not good. And the reason why this isn't good is it's not because the Cowboys offensive line is going to take some drastic dip without him being there, because I do think that Brock Hoffman is a good backup center. He might not be a good starter, but he's a good backup center. He's a guy who can get you through a few games. It's not the person that is playing center that is the problem. It's the fact that Cooper Beebe isn't playing center because of the importance of the center position on the offensive line and the cohesion that this offensive line is trying to achieve, and the fact that they're not going to be able to achieve that cohesion until maybe week 13, 14, because, there's a very real possibility that he might not play until week 10. 6 to 8 weeks, it's week 2 right now. 6 weeks will get us to week 8. 2 more weeks on top of that will get us to week 10. Stephen Jones was saying that he hopes it's 6 weeks compared to 8. I hope so as well. But that is a big blow for this offensive line because he is a second-year player. He's starting to come into his own. He's starting to show signs that he could be a legitimate player in this league. And for him to get injured at this time, it's just very unfortunate. And it is a blow to this offensive line, especially because with the way this team is constructed, it looks like they're going to have to put a lot of points on the board to win football games. And when you're missing a piece as important as your center, that's not good news for this team at all. So I want to read the press clippings from NBC Sports here. Shireen Williams is the one that wrote this article. Cowboys center Cooper Beebe does not have a high ankle sprain as initially thought. Todd Archer of ESPN reports that further testing revealed that Beebe has a sprain of his right ankle and a fracture of a small bone in that foot. Beebe is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with his injury. Executive Vice President Stephen Jones said on 105.3 The Fan that the team is hoping it's on the shorter end of that. The Cowboys placed Beebe on injured reserve Monday, which will force him to miss at least the next 4 games. In a corresponding move, they added edge rusher Jadeveon Clowney to the roster. Brock Hoffman played 16 snaps against the Giants on Sunday. He started 6 games at right guard last season, as well as 1 at center when Beebe was out with a concussion. Hoffman also started 1 game at center in 2023. Again, it's not the player that is replacing Cooper Beebe that I'm worried about. Like, Brock Hoffman is a perfectly fine backup player, right? And if he's a perfectly fine backup player, he's a starting quality player around there, right? But he's more so like, if Cooper Beebe's a top 10 center in the league, Brock Hoffman is probably around that 27 to 32 range-ish, somewhere around there, right? Closer to 32 than 27. But that's the thing. Like, it's unfortunate, but this is why you have depth. Another thing that kind of scares me about this injury is not just, okay, Brock Hoffman starting, I'm cool with that, I'm fine. Like, backups are there for a reason. Injuries happen to every football team in the NFL. So backups are there for a reason. Like, you don't sign these guys and you don't try and find quality backups if you don't think that they're potentially going to play a game for you. But who's behind Brock Hoffman? Is it Dakota Shepley? I think it is. That's behind him, if I'm not mistaken. So that's always my fear when it comes to injuries, right? It's not just about, okay, we're now starting a new center. It's about, okay, what if that backup center goes down? Now you have a real problem on your offensive line. So it's going to be big health-wise. Brock Hoffman, again, like solid backup, but he's got to stay healthy as well, because if they have another injury at that position, now you're in a really bad spot at that position. Like now you're going to have to look at, okay, Dakota Shepley, you're going to have to play center. And not only that, right? Like you're going to have to start looking around. You're going to have to start looking around the league for potential free agents, guys on practice squads that are going to have to come in and play reps for you if Brock Hoffman goes down. That's just something you do not want. So it's just, it stinks all the way around. It's not fun that this happened, and it's really unfortunate. Now, when you look at this offensive line, to me, the three players that have stood out to me are Smith, Beebe, and Tyler Booker. Tyler Guyton, he's had some flashes, but he hasn't been consistent. And Terrence Steele, I mean, I'm very close to being out on Terrence Steele. If I'm not already, I think I'm out on Terrence Steele. The thing is, it's just like, okay, who are you going to bring in to play his position is the question that I have. So losing a guy that I believed was a very reliable player, yeah, it just stinks all around. In 6 to 8 weeks, man, like you're looking at week 8, you're looking at week 10. So it's just unfortunate all the way around. But we'll move on to the next topic. But before we do, I talked about it earlier. I have a media company. Make sure to go check it out. CEO Sports Show on YouTube, and you'll find all of the other shows on the network. If you guys are a fan of Okoye from Okoye Media, he's on there. He has a boxing show. Great show. Fantastic debut the other night. And make sure to go check it out. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. So, an agent revealed, by the way, this is from NBC Sports. This is Mike Florio writing this. When released by the Panthers, Jadeveon Clowney prioritized joining the Cowboys. Jadeveon Clowney will continue his NFL career in the state where it started 11 years ago as the first overall pick of the Texans. His agent said Monday that Clowney targeted his new team from the moment the Panthers released him. Quote, playing for the Dallas Cowboys was the priority day one upon his release from the Panthers, Kennard McGuire said via Todd Archer of ESPN.com. He had other opportunities that he just wasn't moved by. Besides, I wanted him to get Jerry's explanation of the glory hole as opposed to mine. I did not expect that to go there. To the untrained eye/ear, that last part will be confusing, if not downright jarring. It's a reference to something Jones said during training camp in 2012. Quote, it is a reminder I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole. Okay, we'll move on. It got even better when former team PR representative Rich Darham, I'm not even going to try and attempt that last name, tried to throw Jerry a lifeline by saying glory hole is a commonly used expression in the oil and gas exploration business. Jones quickly added, that's news to me. Okay. I did not expect that to go there. That threw me off a little bit. But let's talk about Jadeveon Clowney. So, the Cowboys, they were worried about the defensive end position, like no doubt about it, which is why they went out and got Jadeveon Clowney. And there is a real possibility that he might be your best defensive end day one for this team. I mean, I don't know if that's, hey, Jadeveon Clowney is a really good player, or if that's just, hey, the Cowboys actually, their defensive end room is pretty cooked. I don't necessarily know if that's the case. Like, I still want to see how the season plays out, before I'm ready to come to a hard stance on the defensive end room, right? Dante Fowler has been disappointing. As with Donovan Ezaraku, I know people aren't going to want to call that out, but I mean, let's just call it what it is. He's been disappointing so far. Sam Williams, he's a nice rotational defensive end, that being Sam Williams. But overall, that's not a guy that you look at and say, wow, that guy is a legit dude, like starter caliber player. He's just not that, And I think that adding Jadeveon Clowney, it's a good addition. It makes your team better. And overall, if it makes your team better as a fan, you really can't complain about that. But I do find it interesting that he wanted to play for the Dallas Cowboys, because a lot of players want to come play for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a destination. People could talk about Jerry Jones and how the team hasn't been relevant in so long, and who would want to play for the Cowboys? Everybody wants to play for the Cowboys. Cam Newton even said it himself. Everybody wants to play for the Dallas Cowboys. You're on the biggest stage in sports. Your games get the biggest rating out of any team in the NFL. Not only that, it's good if you're a star, because you can build your brand because you play for the Dallas Cowboys. And it's also good if you're in a situation like Jadeveon Clowney, where you're trying to show the league, hey, I can still play. Because if he plays well for the Dallas Cowboys, that means a lot more than playing well for the Carolina Panthers. It just is what it is. You can get upset that that's the reality, but it is the reality. When you play for the star, when you play for the Cowboys, your brand is bigger. You're on a bigger stage. It also could hurt you as well, because if you go out there and you don't play to the level that you need to play at, then you get exposed as well, right? That gets broadcasted to a larger audience. But overall, it doesn't surprise me. And I think when you look at this defensive line, I now really don't have much concerns about them playing run defense. The concern has now went to, can they play pass defense? And that's the hill that the Cowboys were willing to die on. And I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't hate where the Cowboys are coming from here, because I could kind of see their thinking where they say, hey, we've had a great pass rush for years, and it hasn't gotten us anywhere. So let's try and see if we can build our defense to play the run better. But my response to that would be, hey, like, you don't have to pick between the two. You can play good run defense and be able to rush the passer. Like, you didn't really have to pick between the two. I mean, again, I'm not completely against the Micah Parsons trade because of the amount of money that they're going to be able to use in free agency, that they're going to have to use in free agency now, and all the draft picks that you were able to obtain, right? Like, the Cowboys are in a situation where they can spend 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years on the defensive side of the ball. They can then use all that cap space that they're going to have, not all of it, but a lot of it, into getting quality players on the defensive side of the ball. Like, they can do those things. My thing with the trade isn't about the assets that you got in return. Teams you usually don't get 2 first-round picks anymore in the NFL. It's very rare that happens. Like, that is a lot in return. And you also got Kenny Clark, who's a very, very good football player. But it's about how they use those picks going forward. That's my thing when it comes to the Cowboys in this trade. If you use the assets that you have at your disposal effectively, you can build a legitimate team that can win the Super Bowl. Like, that's what you can do. You already have the offense to be able to compete with anybody in football. This offense is as good as they come in the NFL. It might be the best offense in football. Might be. I mean, I don't know who you would definitively put over them. It might be the best offense in football. Yeah, you need to add a few more pieces of the offense, but it's nothing too crazy. Defensively, you need a lot of work. Like, you might need to draft an edge in the first round this year. You might need to draft a safety, maybe in the second round, or just wherever you can get one, because these safeties, they're so mediocre that they're like painfully mediocre. A linebacker isn't out of the question. Corner isn't out of the question. Like, this team has a lot of holes that they need to fill on the defensive side of the ball. And while I'm all for saying that Matt Eberflus needs to be better when it comes to, his scheme and the way he deploys his personnel and the way he builds a scheme to fit his personnel. I'm all for saying that. I'm also all for looking at the personnel and saying, hey, this personnel is just not good enough. And at the end of the day, that's where I look at the Cowboys and I say, it's just not good enough. You're not gonna play great defense with this personnel. There's too many holes on this defense. Like I said, corner, we'll see what happens throughout the course of the season. You get Bland back, you get Revel back, and you feel better about that room. But you got to get these guys back, right? Like, and Revel has to show that he can play NFL football, because he hasn't shown that yet, because he hasn't had any training camp. He hasn't played in any games. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. But I think that overall, when you look at this team and defensively how they're structured, they have holes, and they went and they signed Jadeveon Clowney, and they said, hey, this could potentially cover up one of the holes that we have. So for that, I really can't get on the Cowboys for that. And I'm sorry, I didn't get his contract details. Let me get his contract details. I believe it's $3 million guaranteed with incentives up to $6.5 million. CBS, I think they should have it. Nope, they don't have it. That's annoying. Contract details. So he signed a 1-year deal, $3.5 million. That's guaranteed. All right. Okay. So I'm sorry, this is bad radio. This is awful radio. So it's a 1-year deal, $3.5 million. The contract has a max value of $6 million with incentives. So not a bad deal at all. When you look at the Cowboys cap space, let me find what they're looking at right now. When you look at their cap space, they still have $38 million they can spend. Now, you have to look at it like this. They're more so looking at that and saying, okay, we're going to carry some of that over into the next year. Not only do we want to carry some of that over, we want to have leftover money to spend in case of an emergency, right? Or in case something pops up, right? Like maybe a player on a team like that. That's why, like, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm waiting to spend this money, because you could be in a situation where somebody like Quinnen Williams might say, hey, I'm fed up with the Jets. I want out of here. We have a few first round picks we can give you for him. We have some other assets we can give you for him. And that contract's going to be big. But I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying hypothetically, there may be a star out there that come the trade deadline says, I want out. I don't want to be on this team anymore. And the team says, hey, you want to know what? We don't really want you here either. We would like the assets that you would be able to attract, right? So that's how you have to look at this. I want to get some clarification on the Deron Bland injury, because there's a very real possibility that he's not back until week 5, week 6 of the NFL season. So this is from Heavy on Cowboys from Douglas Bonjour. Great last name. The Dallas Cowboys overcame a poor showing on defense to even their record in week 2, outlasting the New York Giants 40-37 in a wild overtime finish. While the Cowboys hope to improve on that, it won't be easy. Next Sunday, they're expected to be again without all-pro cornerback Deron Bland. Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones said Monday on 105.3 The Fan that Bland is, quote, probably a long putt to suit up in week 3 as Dallas visits the Chicago Bears. Bland, his injury stems from practice. Bland, 26, is currently sidelined with a left foot injury stemming from an incident in practice on September 8th. While the injury is unrelated to the foot issue that limited Bland to 7 games last season, it's believed to be serious enough to keep him out for multiple weeks. Complicating matters, it comes as fellow cornerback Trayvon Diggs ramps up from offseason knee surgery. In 2023, Bland set an NFL record with 5 interception returns for touchdowns and led the NFL with 9 interceptions overall. He missed 10 games last season with a stress fracture in his right foot. Despite that, Bland signed a 4-year, $92 million extension in August that included $50 million guaranteed. He played well in the Week 1 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, allowing only 2 catches for 11 yards. It was about to say Cowboys defense draws scrutiny, and I went down and I saw Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky, and I said, okay, that is enough for this article. We are not going to continue reading that article because whatever they're about to say probably isn't productive dialogue to what we need to be talking about. Not having Deron Bland for this week, it's a loss. I hate to say that I'm not overly concerned about the Chicago Bears because Caleb Williams is just not playing well. And Ben Johnson, the masterful guru that, he's a can't miss coach. He's the next Kyle Shanahan. Doesn't look like he's the next Kyle Shanahan. Not to say that he's a bad coach or anything, but it's not like he's off to some great start. So not having Deron Bland with the receivers that they have, Rome Odunze looks like he could potentially be in for a breakout season. DJ Moore. They have Cole Kmet there, Colston Loveland. They have some guys that they can throw the ball to. But overall, do they have the quarterback that's going to get them the football? Because it's been a struggle for them in the first 2 weeks of the season to get their receivers the football. But you never know. With the Cowboys, for some reason, players decide, hey, I'm just going to break out and play really, really well against this team. And then I'm going to go back to my mediocre play that I've been playing at prior. No, it actually happens like that. It's not just a Russell Wilson thing, because people may look at that and say, oh, you're just saying that because Russell Wilson did it. No, this is actually what happens with the Cowboys. And it's extremely frustrating. So Deron Bland missing time, it's obviously a hit for this Cowboys secondary. And the most unfortunate thing about it is there was so much positive momentum that was built in Week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles and how the secondary played. And you started to look at this and say, oh, great. We have Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs on the same field together. This is awesome. But for some reason, the football gods are just not letting Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs play with each other. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy to me. You had the 2023 season where you had Diggs, Bland, and Gilmore, and you're like, man, our secondary is going to be legit. And it was a pretty good secondary. And then the next year, you're like, all right, we're getting Diggs back. That's great. And we're going to have Deron Bland. And then Deron Bland gets hurt. And then Diggs gets hurt. And it's just like, man, that's so frustrating. It just seems like they don't want these two guys to share the field with each other. And I mean, it would be a lethal cornerback duo. I mean, when you look at one side, you have Trayvon Diggs, ball hawk, and then you have Deron Bland, ball hawk. Like, as a quarterback, it's like, all right, where do I throw the ball? Neither of these guys are necessarily fun to throw the ball towards. So where do I throw it? That's the situation that teams get put in because of, those two being on the field with each other. And I want to finish the show by talking about this. I know a lot of Cowboys fans want to sign Stephon Gilmore and they want him on this team. The question that I have is, why do you think the Cowboys haven't brought in Stephon Gilmore? I mean, they know more than we do, right? What is Stephon Gilmore asking for? Is the price that he's asking for, is his level of play and what he's going to provide your team, is that warranted for what he's asking for? Because Stephon Gilmore has money in the bank. I mean, he's a guy who's signed multiple contracts in the NFL. So he's not a guy that's looking for $2 million and an opportunity to prove himself. Wherever Stephon Gilmore goes next, it might be his last stop in the NFL. So he's not trying to take a few $1 million and call it a day. He doesn't have to do that. He's built up enough equity in the NFL. He's still, even in Minnesota last year, he was a fine player, but he doesn't have to do that. He's got money saved up. He's not desperate for money. I mean, I don't know. I don't know his financial situation, but I would just assume he seems like a pretty smart guy. He probably has money saved up. He probably doesn't want to take what the Cowboys are willing to offer him. It's probably what they just gave Jadeveon Clowney, $3 million, $3.5 million. $6 million with incentives. I don't think Stephon Gilmore wants to take a contract like that. He's probably looking at somewhere around $6 million with up to $10 million incentives. That's probably the range that he's looking at. So with that being the case, I don't think the Cowboys want to sign somebody that they look at and they say, hey, he may be over the hill. I mean, that's been reported. Brian Broaddus talked about it. And I'm willing to believe Brian Broaddus when he says that, because if Stephon Gilmore was as good as people have been saying that he is, why haven't the Cowboys signed him yet? It's because they know something we don't. So I'm always willing to give front offices that, leeway where I say, hey, the reason why he's not signed, it's not just the Cowboys that are making this decision, by the way. It's every other team in the NFL. There are 32 NFL teams. And not one team said, hey, we want Stephon Gilmore on our team. That to me is a blinking red light. Like, they probably see what the Cowboys say. So that's going to be it for the episode, those guys. I appreciate you guys for coming out. Appreciate you guys for supporting the page. The CEO Sports Show will be live in 27 minutes from this moment right now. So make sure to go check that out. I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next episode.